Thanks for joining us on VIP TV. Before we go on to boxing and what your role is at the moment, the news today I've got to ask you, what do you make of Neil Warnock's return to management 10 years after his first retirement?
He's like a bad penny, isn't he? Can't get rid of him. He keeps, he's had more retirements than Frank Sinatra has, Neil. But I think football management, it's so addictive. And I think once you have the success that he's had and you've had the taster of it, it must be really, really difficult to walk away. I mean, he must be about 120 now, surely. You know, so he's but yeah, wealth of experience, and probably Middlesbrough couldn't have got a better man for the predicament they're in at the moment. So yeah, good appointment and good to see him back. I feel sorry for all the linesmen and the fourth officials, but yeah, good to see him back in the game.
Yeah. What about, okay, we'll start on football before we go on to boxing. What do you make of, obviously John Woodgate was just thrown in there, club legend. Gibson appointed him with, great intentions, and I'm sure he wanted him to work more than any other manager. But what do you make of him, going for a 70-year-old manager to, no?
Well, I think, Jonathan Woodgate got his opportunity. I've been managing 9 years now. I know we're talking about a different level, but it's such a difficult role and such a huge club to start off with, Middlesbrough, and in such a difficult position that they're in. When they appointed Jonathan Woodgate, I did think it was going to end up in a bit of a disaster for them reasons. You've got someone with no experience take on such a tough job. Limited resources, trying to revamp the new style of football they were looking to play. I think, was it Tony Pulis was the manager before?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they've gone to Jonathan Woodgate, who's trying to roll it out from the back, a complete, opposite to how Tony Pulis plays out. And I didn't think it was going to end well. So I think what they need to do is go with experience. Like I said, you haven't really got anyone more experienced than Neil Warnock. Hopefully Jonathan Woodgate can bounce back from this and make a career of himself, because fantastic player, very good football brain. Just by watching him play, you recognise that. But such a difficult job for him to be thrown into. And it's a tough one for him. And I'm disappointed to see him lose his job, but I honestly didn't see that one ending well. Yeah,
and of course he didn't really have experience around him, because Robbie Keane, for all his experience as a player, was also new in a role like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I look back when I first started, my first job that I took was at Sheffield FC. And arrogantly, I kind of thought, well, I've played like a miles higher level than this. This is going to be easy. After about 2 weeks of being the manager, I honestly thought I'm way out my depth here. I didn't have a clue about, speaking to players. As a player, all you have to deal with is yourself. You go in, you train, you play your game, you go home, job done. You don't think about it again. But as a manager, kind of everything falls on you, and it's such a difficult role. So yeah, I think probably a mistake Jonathan Woodgate did was probably not get experience around him that he could lean on. I'm sure Robbie Keane's a great coach, but he just doesn't have that experience. And it's same with boxing, Steve. Yourself. You don't get that experience. You can spar champions, this, that, and the other, but until you get in there, that's when you find out what level you're at. And it's same with football management. You can do all the courses, all the badges you like, but when push comes to shove, you need that experience to fall back on and think, well, you know what, I did that last time and I made a huge mistake. This time I'm going to do it different. And he just didn't have that or have that around him. So yeah, it was tough to watch.
What about your own football management career now? You're a very good, a solid non-league club, or well known. Where do you see yourself? Because you seem to be progressing up a division or two everywhere you go. So you started at Sheffield FC. I saw you last year when you was at Tadcaster. You've gone a division above that now with Gainsborough, one of the bigger teams in the Northern Premier League.
Yeah. Well, fortunately for me, I was in a very lucky position. I retired from football at 26. So I was in no rush to kind of get at a professional level or a full-time level. So I had time on my side. So I think I took my first job at about 28, 29 years of age. So I've been managing nearly 10 years, 9 or 10 years now. So I've built up a wealth of experience. And only probably in the last, I'd say 3 years since I retired from professional boxing, was when I really started to give management my full-time attention and really study it more. And the results that I've been getting as a manager have shown that, really. Same as everything, you can't do it half-heartedly. And when I was still boxing, I was in training camps trying to pick a team, and it was all too much for me, to be honest. So as soon as I retired from professional boxing, I've seen my career rise and rise and rise. I mean, I've probably managed nearly 500 games already in non-league, and I'm only just turned 40. So I've got a wealth of experience. But to answer your question, Steve, you know, I want to manage in the Football League. And I believe if I keep going how I'm going, I just think it'll be a matter of time before somebody, for want of a better word, takes a gamble. I think it's crazy, really. I think my boxing career definitely goes against me in football management. It's crazy. When I first started boxing, all anybody would call me was a footballer. Oh, God, we've got this footballer who's coming in trying to box. And now I'm managing. People are saying, well, why do we want a boxer as our manager? So I can't win, really. So I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. But yeah, you know what?
You were a well-known footballer, so maybe that's why, you moved for £1 million when £1 million transfer was something.
Yeah. Well, I remember Trevor Francis signed me for £1 million, and he was the first £1 million player. And I could see him looking at me sometimes thinking, God, is this all we get for $1 million these days? Because Trevor was a proper player. He used to join in training every now and again, and he's probably still our best player. He just couldn't run. But yeah, technically he was brilliant. And yeah, and he must have been looking at me thinking, bloody hell, $1 million don't get you much these days. But yeah, good days.
So there's a lot being made at the moment of, the BAME and black managers not getting their chance. Where do you stand in that? I've seen you've been, very defensive, certainly, of Sol Campbell. So how harder is it for a black manager?
Well, I think the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? You look at the statistics and people say, like, well, are there the black managers out there? And, well, why wouldn't they be? You look at so many great former black players that have had such an impact in the game. And I know of personally loads that, the thing that frustrates me about it is we all talk amongst each other, but nobody will come out and say anything. And I know loads that have applied for job after job that have got their pro licenses, their A licenses, probably 50 international caps, 300 Premier League games, and they're applying for jobs, in the Dog and Duck League, and they're saying, I can't even get a response. So I'm getting a response saying I'm too experienced, I'm not enough experience. And I think people are just really pulling the hair out with it. It's such a difficult one because, like you said, I think the problem is at board level, if I'm going to be honest, because you mainly, especially in the lower down divisions, you've got a certain age of people that maybe don't look too favourably on black people being in charge. It's okay having one as your centre forward or who's scoring you loads of goals, that's fine. But I think a lot of older white people have a problem with having a young black person in charge of the football club. And I think that's a subconscious thing. They probably don't even realise it, but it just doesn't sit right sometimes. And I think that's a problem. And I think we definitely need a trailblazer that's going to go and show that, wow. I mean, it's crazy, really. When I interact with people on Twitter, people say, well, black managers just aren't very good. And I find that crazy that someone would think because of someone's skin colour, they can't do a job of being a football manager. It's crazy. And I do think the changes come in. Like I said, I know that for a fact that there's so many more out there now that have got their qualifications and that are looking to get into roles. But when everybody asks me, I always say, results, no matter what colour you are gonna where you live or die. And me personally, I just thought, well, I'm going to start at the bottom and build my way up and make it impossible for people not to hire me because of my results. I mean, I'd hate to be sat in a job interview knowing I was there because of the colour of my skin. I couldn't think of anything worse. But yeah, I want to make sure my results do the talking for me. And, I've always kind of been brought up where you always need to do better than everybody else to get an opportunity. So that's where I look at it in football management. And, I aim to bang down the door and, like I said, make it impossible for me not to be hired.
I mean, as you say, you started at your bottom also in your boxing career. Where do you stand in, what's your boxing future now? Obviously, you've got this desire to be a football league manager and, you chase your boxing ambition as a boxer. Do you have boxing ambitions as a trainer or to manage or anything like that at all?
No. I've got my own gym that I've set up in my hometown, the Curtis Woodhouse Elite Boxing Academy, and I train young fighters from there. But, going into that full time is not something I'm looking to do because I understand the amount of dedication it takes for a trainer, really. And I just haven't got that time to give to him. I've got a great lad that I work with called Pete, who's full on with the guys and works full time with them. But I just haven't got the time to commit that role to them. We've got a couple of cracking little fighters as well, and I love seeing them progress. I love watching them spar and how they develop and all things like that. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't see myself going into that full time because, like I said, I want to be a football manager, and I believe my boxing career will hold me in such good stead going into football management. I learned so much about myself. So, to answer your question, I don't see that. But I mean, when I was 25 years of age, if you asked me if I was going to be a professional boxer, I'd have been like, absolutely no chance. So I never know with me. Anything could happen, Steve. I've got no idea.
How much you're enjoying Gainsborough? Go back to your football, Gainsborough Trinity. How much you seem to have, just looking at your tweets last year, you loved every minute of it there because the results improved. Like they did at Tadcaster before that.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great club. I think when I went there, we were second from bottom, which in our league's a travesty really for a club like Gainsborough. So from a strictly selfish point of view, I looked at it from the outside, looking in, thinking, well, it's very hard to do any worse right now. So I knew the only way was up for the football club, and I looked at it and I knew they needed a few players and a new direction, and I was very positive that I could make that positive impact. And we went on a hell of a run, and we were outside chance of getting in the playoffs. Like I said, we went on an 11-game unbeaten run at home. I think 12 games. Well, I think we broke a 100-year record at the football club, and we were really just on a roll. And the one thing that I'm more disappointed about anything is the one thing we've lost is momentum, and it's such a hard thing to get in football. So we've got to start back again. But yeah, to answer your question, I've loved it. It's a great club. The chairman's been great with me and just let me get on with it, really. And that's all you can ask for as a manager. He says that's your budget. Do what you want with it. So it's been great. It's a great football club. We've just built our own training facility as well, which is brilliant. I mean, last year we were here, there, and everywhere, really, trying to beg, steal, and borrow a training facility, but we've just got our own now, which is fantastic. So I had to use, we did some boxing sessions, we did some yoga sessions, but there's only so much that you can do to try and cajole the lads and keep them going along. So to have our training facility will certainly help. And yeah, I'm really excited about the future of the club, and hence why I signed a 2-year contract with the football club, because I see the next 2 years as really important for my development, and also as well, I'm at a good club where I can grow.
How much do you keep in touch with all your old boxing mates and trainers?
Yeah, I still touch base with most of them every now and again. It's same as everything. Once you come out of the sport, especially boxing, I do think it's good to have a not a clean break from it, but you need to step away from it, because it's like crack cocaine is boxing. It's so addictive. Whenever I watch it on the TV, I'm up shadow boxing thinking, I think I've got one more in me, so it's so difficult to get away from. So I have stepped away from it a little bit, but all the big fights I watch, I still keep in touch on social media with my old trainers, old sparring partners and things like that. And I love the game. A lot of fighters retire from boxing, and a lot of them end up, bitter towards it and things like that. But I'm the complete opposite. The boxing was amazing for me. The best thing I was ever fortunate enough to do, and I love the game. But I make a comeback every other week. Every Monday the diet starts. I still think I can make 10 stone. So, but no, I do step away, but I still love it.
What does it say about you as a person and your mindset when you? Because I remember you telling me once, you remember you'd fallen out of love at football when you were 26. You just didn't want to play anymore. Then you just stopped it. You went on to boxing. Now you're back into football again. Now, what does that say about your personality?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. It is mad. And the thing is with football, I think it was a slow deterioration. And when I first burst onto the scene at 17 years of age, my dream was to play for Liverpool in England. That was what I thought I was going to do. I played for England under 16, under 18, under 21s. I thought my career was going to progress. And I don't mean this with no disrespect, but to be playing on a Tuesday night away at some League Two ground in front of 1,500 people was not the dream. And, I quickly realised that this wasn't for me anymore. And to be honest, I probably was done in football at 21, 22, and I hung around for a few extra years just to try and rekindle that love. And I could never get it back. And the last roll of the dice for me was really going to Hull City, who just had back-to-back promotions. I'm from the area. a lot of my friends are Hull City fans that went to the game. So I kind of thought this is my last opportunity to get that hunger and love back. But I was nowhere near the player that I used to be. So I just found it all really, really frustrating. A bit like a fighter, really, that ends up getting beat by kids that had never, ever beat him back in the day. And that's what I'd become as a footballer. I was nowhere near the player I used to be. So I knew it was time to walk away. And luckily, I think if I've not walked away when I was so young, I'd have never gone back into football. But now I've gone back in as a football manager. I just feel like I've got a massive point to prove in football, just like I did at boxing. Because everyone said I couldn't do it.
I wouldn't have had a penny on you with it. I remember your first fight. It was on TV, that dinner show. And you won.
Yeah.
I just thought, he's done well winning a fight, Curtis Woodhouse there. If someone said to me, I'll be honest, if someone said to me, you're going to be British champion, I would have gone and paid for him to go somewhere,
Yeah, I remember that first fight.
Like, disrespect,
No, absolutely. I remember getting the British Boxing Board of Control rankings. Where I used to get boxing news every week, and the rankings used to come out every month, as you'll know. And I remember seeing the rankings. I was ranked at welterweight at the time, and I was ranked 187 in Great Britain out of 187. So I was literally the worst, and I was probably there on merit as well. And my first fight was against Dean Mark Antonio.
Right, yeah.
And I remember Dean Powell ringing me up. Who was my first manager. Great bloke was Dean, and even after I'd left Frank Warren and Dean was no longer my manager, he used to ring me after all my fights and say, how do you get on this, that and the other. It was a great bloke. And I remember Dean ringing me up about 4 weeks before my debut saying, I found you your first opponent, Dean Mark Antonio. And I said to Dean, I'll never forget, I said, no way. I'm not fighting him, Dean. I said, I know what you boxing people are like. You're trying to tuck me up. There's no way I'm fighting a Mexican on my debut. I understand boxing. Mexicans can fight like mad. There's no way I'm fighting a Mexican. And Dean said to me, pardon my language, but he said, he's not a fucking Mexican. He said, he's a window cleaner from London. He said, he's the worst kid we can find. He said, if you can't beat him, he said, we just can't do anything with you. And I remember coming back after the first round that I'd lost, thinking, oh my God, this is the worst guy they can find. And he's decent, he's better than me. And they probably nip and tuck the fight. And I think I put him down twice in the last round that made me win it by 2 points. But yeah, I remember sat in the dressing room thinking, yeah, I'm not very good at this. I've got a long, long way to go.
So, you achieved your ambition in boxing, British champion. I doubt if a footballer, a professional sportsman from any other sport's ever going to do that again. So your place in history looks secure. Final question, what's your ambition as a football manager?
I want to manage in the Football League. I'd like to manage some of the old clubs that I played for. I feel like I've got a point to prove in that. I want to leave a better footballing legacy than I left as a player. And I definitely think my calling is as a manager. I think with everything I've been through in my own personal life, in my sporting life, football and boxing, I believe I've got so much to give, and I'm really passionate about it, and I know I'm going to be a success. All I'm waiting for is an opportunity, but I won't get an opportunity unless I do the business at Gainsborough, which I am. But yeah, I'm hungry and I'm keen, and I want to win something in professional football as a manager. Maybe the FA Cup, promotion, whatever it is. I want to win something.
Curtis, thanks very much, and I'll catch you when Gainsborough come to Ashton next season, whenever it's going to start.
It's got to be your turn for the beer, Steve, surely.
Yeah. You won a tab card last year, so yeah, I'll let you off there, yeah.
So, man, great to speak to you, mate.
Great speaking, thank you.
Take care, pal.
For all boxing, info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.